Thank you so much for having me. It's a huge honor to be the last one to address you guys. I'll just go ahead. So the name, or like the title of my speech is Violence is an Epidemic, Suffering is a Crisis. And if you relate to what I'm saying, I think it would be helpful to remember this sentence. Violence is an epidemic, suffering is a crisis. We as a society have a tendency to deal with violence as if it were a crisis. We react in shock, we act fast. Our aim is to eliminate the immediate danger. This is the right way to react to sexual harassment and violence. This is also the wrong way to react to sexual harassment and violence. Survivors need this crisis response. We owe it to them as a society to step in and to do everything in our power to keep them safe. However, this type of response will never be enough to eliminate the root cause of violence. We must look at the bigger picture. We have to keep in mind that these are not isolated incidents. We are dealing with an epidemic. My point is, a survivor does not need to look at the bigger picture. A survivor needs only survive. A survivor needs only do as much as they feel comfortable doing and is entitled to their feelings and their fight. A society needs to look at the bigger picture. A society needs to rebuild itself. A society has to do everything it can and most importantly remember that we are trying to solve a problem. We don't have to fight. Violence is an epidemic. Violence is rooted in hate. Violence is rooted in narrow-mindedness and bigotry. Violence is rooted in not knowing any better. It's rooted in porn. It's rooted in how you're raised and the patriarchy itself. Violence is a huge problem, a multifaceted problem, and we mustn't oversimplify it if we truly want to eradicate it. I have noticed a problem in how we deal with sexual harassment. We tend to approach perpetrators with a sense of urgency and present survivors with an overwhelming amount of responsibility. Perpetrators are sick monsters which we must get rid of, and survivors should figure out a way to solve the problem. This way of looking at things is outdated and harmful and will not create any kind of progress. This is what the truth looks like. Perpetrators are people who have a problem that society needs to solve. And survivors shouldn't have to put any time or energy into solving this problem. It isn't their problem. Gendered violence is not a female problem. Pedophilia is not a kid's problem. Violence is a deeply rooted societal epidemic that has to be dug up, faced, and fought. Our duty to survivors is great, and for years we have denied responsibility and pointed fingers. A few bad apples, not all men. You'd have to be sick. What a monster. I would have never thought. He must have been very drunk. Violence always surprised us, always stumped us. We have never really had a clue about how to properly deal with sexual violence. Every incident is dealt with individually, often causing the survivor more pain, and sometimes, although not very often at all, sentencing a single bad apple to some sort of punishment. Then we all go on with our lives. And we are just as surprised when another shockingly similar case comes up. How do we deal with an epidemic? Where do we go? Which questions do we ask? Do we actually want to solve the problem? Do we have what it takes? Are we ready to sacrifice comfortable conversation and blanket statements for a difficult and earnest search for truth? This has to be established before we go any further. These are the questions that we have to answer. This is where we go after MeToo. I'll give you my answers. One person's perspective on a huge picture, bigger than all of us. We deal with an epidemic by asking questions. Like scientists fighting a disease, we never make any assumptions. He must have been drunk, but he's such a nice guy. She should have said something. Let's assume that we don't know anything. Let's look for solutions. Let's ask why. We get so caught up in stories of how. We yearn for stories of who. Nobody wants to know why. That's where we have to go. We have to find the why. So the questions we ask are many. Every case is different, but the underlying truth will be the same. We have created a culture of violence. We accept it as a part of our history, even our nature, and have done for a long time. So do we have what it takes? Are we willing? I am. And today, I'm pretty sure I'm surrounded by people who are not only willing, but have been waiting to face this problem head on and find the whys, find the true solution. We will partake in uncomfortable conversation. We will be earnest in our search for the truth. It's all that really matters. But where do survivors fit into this equation? Where does anxiety, PTSD, fear, triggers, difficult memories, and dying hope or raging fury fit in? This is where we need the crisis response. We listen, we listen, we listen, and then we listen some more, and we allow survivors to say their piece. Then we help, we believe, we comfort, we strengthen, we raise them up, and we salute them. We will do our duty. We will solve the problem so they won't have to. Of course, there will be survivors among the problem solvers. What's crucial is that it be their choice, never their responsibility. If the system has failed you, you're entitled to anger and sadness. You're entitled to inspiration, a spark of wanting to change the world. You're entitled to losing hope, to stop trusting. Your feelings are your own. Your experience is your own. You don't owe anybody anything. Society is indebted to you. We owe you. Give survivors what they need. Give them what they ask for, and apologize if you can't. Their circumstances are a crisis, nothing less. They got caught in a hurricane, an earthquake, a volcanic eruption of betrayal, hurt, and completely undeserved pain. Don't ever try to undermine that. The narrative is theirs, the empowerment of talking about it, not talking about it, fighting for justice, fighting for good, for trust, for happiness, or not fighting at all. It's all up to them. If you're in a position to change the way society works, and you feel that you can, remember that we can solve the problem. There's no question there. The question is, do we want to? Are we willing? Will you say what has to be said and ask the questions that need answering? Don't oversimplify. Don't make monsters out of men. Don't turn away when reality overwhelms you with its complexity and contradictions. It's there where change happens. It's when we allow reality to be complicated and contradicting that we find solutions to our problems. But it's hard. Nobody wants to be a hypocrite. It would all be so easy if we could lock away everyone who has ever wronged someone, but we can't. None of us are guiltless in life, and punishment is not an accomplishment. True progress is honest and always found in the search for truth. Feminist rhetoric is not the solution. The solution is complex and layered, but between every single layer, there is feminist rhetoric. It's our foundation. It's a way of looking at the world, it's where we come from, and it's an integral part of solving the problem. There it is, my perspective. Find yours. Share mine if you like, but find it and follow it like a compass. When life provokes you and challenges your ideas about right and wrong, follow your compass north. Remember where you keep your core and go to it when you need it. We will never give up on the human strength to overcome. That is our nature. believe, be earnest, listen and choose your words wisely. They matter. Do what you can and trust that others will do the same. We will not shy away from the problem. We will respond to every crisis, and we will end the epidemic of violence by observing, inquiring, pushing, breaking through, and never giving up. Thank you.